The evacuation sirens wailed across Thalassa, the aquatic homeworld of the Mirians. Elder Nick stood on his barnacle-encrusted balcony, his 4 eyes scanning the darkening sky. The ancient guardian of their people had lived through 3 centuries of peace, but tonight that peace would end. "It's too late," he whispered to himself, his voice carrying the weight of impending extinction. The Void Swarm had been detected just days ago, approaching their system with unstoppable momentum, a cosmic plague that devoured worlds, leaving nothing but cosmic dust in its wake. The Galactic Council, that grand assembly of the 17 most advanced species, had deliberated for precisely 42 minutes before reaching their verdict. Thalassa was beyond salvation. Resources would be better allocated elsewhere. Pragmatic, they called it. Unfortunate, but necessary. Elder Nix had watched the transmission end, the holographic faces of the council members fading without a word of comfort or regret. The Mirians were a young species, only recently welcomed into galactic society. Their technological contributions were minimal, their military strength non-existent. In the cold calculation of cosmic politics, they were expendable. 3 billion souls, deemed unworthy of rescue. A shimmering point of light in the sky caught his attention. At first, he thought it was the first wave of the Void Swarm, but the trajectory was wrong. This was approaching from the opposite direction, from the edge of the system where the transit gate connected to distant sectors. His communication device chimed. Elder, the voice of his aide, Lumi, trembled with something that sounded dangerously like hope. "We're receiving a transmission. It's from the humans." Nix's gill slits flared in surprise. Humans, the newest members of the galactic community, even younger than the Mirians. Barely 2 centuries into faster-than-light travel, they were still viewed with a mixture of curiosity and dismissal by the older species. Too emotional, too impulsive, too unpredictable to be taken seriously. The message was brief. Hold position. Help is coming. Within hours, the sky above Thalassa filled with ships. Not the sleek, elegant vessels of the council races, but sturdy, practical crafts bearing the blue and green emblem of Earth. Freighters, mining vessels, colony ships, even retrofitted military cruisers. Seeing the humans had sent everything capable of interstellar travel. The first human Nix met was Admiral Reed, a weathered woman with silver hair and eyes the color of Thalassa's deepest oceans. "Why?" Nix asked, unable to comprehend their actions. "The Council determined our survival probability at 0.4%. The resource expenditure cannot be justified." Reed's laugh was like the breaking of waves against the shore. "That's exactly why we came, Elder. Humans have a long history of beating impossible odds." Her expression softened. "Besides, we know what it's like to stand alone." The evacuation began immediately. Human ships descended through the atmosphere, landing on every available surface. Their environmental systems weren't designed for Mirian biology, but human engineers worked frantically, modifying life support, creating water-filled compartments, improvising solutions with a creativity that bordered on artistic. "It won't be comfortable," a human captain named Jackson told a group of frightened Mirian children, "but uncomfortable beats extinct any day of the week." As the Void Swarm approached, a fleet of human military vessels took position at the system's edge. A suicide mission, Nix realized with horror. They couldn't hope to defeat the swarm. They were merely buying time. "This is madness," he told Reed as they coordinated the evacuation from the Central Command Center. "Your ships will be destroyed." "Probably," she agreed with a shrug, "but every minute they hold is another 1,000 Mirians saved. Worth it by our math." Nix struggled to understand his calculus. "You barely know us. We have no alliance, no trade agreements. We can offer nothing in return." Reed's expression grew serious. "In our history, there were times when we faced extinction-level threats, natural disasters, wars, plagues. The moments that defined us weren't our technological achievements or military victories, but the times we chose to help each other despite the cost." She placed a hand on Nix's shoulder, an alien gesture that somehow conveyed profound solidarity. "We're not leaving you to die alone in the dark." The evacuation continued day and night. Human ships, packed beyond capacity with Mirian refugees, made continuous jumps through the transit gate. Against all probability, The defensive line held, though each hour brought news of human vessels lost to the swarm. On the seventh day, Elder Nix stood in the now empty central plaza of the capital city. The last transport waited nearby, its engines humming impatiently. Nearly 2 billion Mirians had been evacuated, far more than anyone had thought possible, though still far less than their total population. A young human technician approached him. "Sir, we have to go. The swarm has broken through the last defense line." Nix gazed around at the abandoned buildings, the empty pools where Mirian children once played. "I thought I would die with my world." "Not today," the human said firmly. "Today you live to rebuild." As their ship cleared the atmosphere, Nix watched his homeworld recede. The beautiful blue sphere that had nurtured his species since their first emergence from primordial waters would soon be gone, consumed by cosmic entropy. Beside him, Admiral Reed monitored the ongoing evacuation efforts, her face lined with exhaustion but eyes burning with determination. "We couldn't save everyone," she acknowledged grimly. "You saved more than anyone believed possible," Nix replied. "You came when no one else would. Whatever becomes of us now, the Mirians will never forget that in our darkest hour, it was humanity that answered our call." Reed smiled faintly. "That's what humans do. We rage against the dying of the light, even when the darkness seems absolute." She gestured toward the transit gate, the pathway to Earth and human colony worlds where Mirian refugees were already being welcomed. "And we never face it alone." As their ship passed through the gate, leaving the doomed Thalassa system behind, Elder Nix understood at last. The older species of the galaxy had forgotten something the young humans still knew. Survival wasn't measured only in resources and probabilities, but in courage, compassion, and the unyielding refusal to abandon hope, even in the face of doom.